Oh, my stripper secrets. Yeah. Well, no, my stripper days aren't a secret, Jojo. Those aren't a secret. Oh, Barry, were you around in my chat when we were talking about my stripper days? Did I ever tell you about
No,
those?
no, I want
I
to
was
hear
I was
everything.
I was I was a stripper, but it was a very short-lived run because I tried stripping, but they kept putting dollar bills in my G-string
Oh.
for me to put it back on.
Oh, I see. Yeah, that's a real problem. I mean, were you fired or was it just, were you too good? They couldn't
I was just too
handle
good.
you.
I was just too
They
good.
couldn't handle
Yeah,
you.
I was too good at it. Yeah, yeah, yep, yep. Nobody worked the pole like me, and I guess that's all I've really got to say. So,
I feel like that's a perfect, I feel like that is a perfect intro to the podcast itself. What do you say
yeah,
we just include that in the podcast? What do you say that we already started it? How do you feel about that?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Nope, that's fine.
Okay.
That's fine.
Welcome to the podcast. I am here today with Standard Damage, aka or Jamie. Is a word you use sometimes to describe yourself. And we are here to spread some positivity, talk about positivity, talk about life, talk about streaming, talk about breakfast, talk about is there life on Mars or not, and everything else, you know, and also not forget the dark secrets of Standard Damage. It's all gonna be exposed here on the OBearry channel today. So stick
Is
around.
there life on Mars? I didn't know we were talking about. You didn't prepare me for that one. Oh, Jesus! I gotta grab some. Hang on. All right, I got my phone. I've got Google. I'm ready to go.
No, I have no idea. So welcome in, guys. This is gonna be, I'm so excited for this. And one reason is because I actually we haven't planned much at all. We don't know what's gonna happen. You don't know what's gonna happen. It's live. It's happening live on Twitch. So if you're listening and you don't know what's going on and you listen to this after the live stream happened, you wonder why are we acting crazy like this? It's because we're hanging out with people from all over the world, you know, live interaction, baby. But not, yeah, but and anything could happen, you know. That's what's so exciting about streaming, you know.
Hello and welcome to the first episode of Two Men and a Camera.
2 men and approximately 3 or 4 cameras.
3 cameras, right? Technically, it's 3 cameras. It's us and 3 cameras. Because we got to get all the angles, guys. We got to get the ang.
Welcome, Jamie.
Poor
OBearry. What? You're capturing all my angles?
Yes, I'm capturing all the angles, see?
I mean, I know I look good, but I mean, yeah, sure. Capture all of it. Mm-hmm. There's some really nice angles that I don't usually show on stream, so maybe this... No, just stop this conversation. Welcome, Standard Damage. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me. It's great to be here. This is gonna be a lot of fun. You know, I took the opportunity, like I told you, to check out some of your content too before we got started, and I want to say this for the benefit of everybody that's in the chat with us right now too, is that a lot of the reason I agreed to do this is I really appreciate I could tell by watching the VODs, like you have a very genuine curiosity with people and the world around you. I watched that short VOD that you did with that really sweet lady right on the street. You're talking about how she, you knew everything about her, like how she'd do knitting when the weather got colder, and she's sitting right there with her cup and all that. And I thought that was just incredibly endearing. And that was the one that really convinced me right there, was just that short little 10-minute clip of seeing how you interacted and all that. So, I mean, if I can start out with a great big compliment to you, I think that's just an absolutely awesome and incredibly endearing quality for somebody to have. I'm like, this is somebody I want to talk with. Yeah. This is somebody I want to talk with.
And exactly, I have the same thing. I felt the same thing for you, but for a different reason. Because someone recommended you. It was on Twitter. I sent out a tweet like, "Hey, I have a podcast. I want to talk to streamers. I want to talk about positivity, spreading positivity. Like, who wants to come on the podcast? And someone recommended you, and I go check out your stream, and immediately, like, you play a lot of marbles on stream. It's one game that we enjoyed a lot on my stream as well, and one game that really, where everyone can join, everyone is welcome. It's a very like nice game to build a community around. And then just your personality, your energy, and I knew that we can have good conversations, and we can have like fun conversations and good conversation about positivity and like how to create and build communities on Twitch, and like how do you do it? I want to know like stuff about. I'm like you said, I'm curious, and I'm curious because we share values, it seems, and also that you you managed to get a little bit further down the road when it comes to building a community, like with it kind of like you built something, and I want to know the journey there, and I want to know more about you. So I'm excited too, and it's great to have you here.
Yeah, no, it's like I said, it's absolutely great to be here. Is that where you want to start? You want to start with like how I stumbled into marbles? Because I really stumbled into marbles. Like it was not like I did like big deep research and homework and all that. It was something that I
want to know how old you are.
45.
45. Is that? So,
I am 45 years old. Yes.
So that's I guess more streamers are younger. Like a majority of streamers are younger than you. Like it's a new community, a young platform. But so you would be considered to be a mature streamer. No, wait. I mean, like, that sounds weird.
I know what you mean. No. It's I'm not. You don't have to sugarcoat it. I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah.
It's an attitude that comes from I never felt like I ever aged. Perfect. And I've been a gamer since the time I was 5 years old.
Wow.
So I've been gaming for literally 40 years. Like, wow. It started with an Atari 2600. And I'm sitting there with one joystick and one button, and how far we've come. But
yeah,
the thing is that, and I've done research on this sense that people that game their entire lives, like if you look at brain activity while somebody is gaming, let me do a comparison here. If you look at the brain activity of somebody watching a TV, you'll see the entire brain. Say this is the entire brain. This is how much activity there is right in the middle.
Wow.
All right. You look at that same level of activity as somebody that's gaming, and the entire brain is lit up like a Christmas tree.
Yeah.
And what they're finding out is that a lot of people that maintain youth and youthful attitudes, there's a direct correlation there between that and people that have gamed their entire life. Wow. So it's just, for some reason, I've never seen myself beyond probably the age of 25. I mean, I understand I'm older. I understand that I'm actually a grandfather. But it doesn't really register with me, when you see a lot of celebrities and people talk about, you need to stop being old. That is what they're talking about. There really is an attitude. Like I don't look at, I didn't look at the late Robin Williams. I never saw his age. I never see Jim Carrey's age. You can look at his face and tell he's older.
Yeah.
But when you see him in interviews and all that, the way he talks, the way he acts, he's never going to be really that distinguished old gentleman. You can tell he's never going to hit that stage. Like he's always going to have that grin. He's always going to bring that energy. And that is something that I very much admire and aspire to. My father just turned 80.
Yeah.
And is one of my idols because he just got back from out of state. He goes gold panning, but he's one of these people that I look at and I go, my God, I hope I have that energy at 80. He goes gold panning.
What?
He actually goes down into the river with a sluice and a hose, sucks up a whole bunch of rocks, and then sorts through it for gold. It's one of the things he's always had like this old Western gold miner kind of mentality.
Oh, wow.
He's very like, if you look at me and then you look at my parents, you're like, how did they produce him? Like we love each other. I have great parents, but we're very, very different. And they so I look at what he does though, and I look at that energy and that drive, and he's always had just tremendous work ethic. And that's where a lot of my energy comes from too. It's like, well, if he can do it, I can do it. You know, I mean, it's that simple to me. So.
Yeah. Did you ever feel like because of your age, you had to explain yourself? Like, what are you doing on Twitch? Or like people, like to anyone, like nothing, like not even like people, like old friends or colleagues or like relatives. No, you're just that kind of person. You're just that kind of.
Yeah,
you just go.
It's nobody really. I don't think anybody really questions like so much of my past history. Like a lot of my friends that are on Twitch, I met through working at game stores. Like one of my oldest, and he's not around. Unfortunately he's not able to be around as much as he would like to. His work schedule is really heavy. But Don, who's Buffa LOL 10, who actually he and Corrado both are the two longest holding subscribers that I have. Don, I met when I was an assistant manager at a GameStop.
Yeah.
So I met him working at a game store in my later 30s, and Corrado, when I was actually running a small video game chain, there was a small video game chain that I was the first district manager for and actually ended up running for a year. And that we actually sponsored his esports team.
Oh, really?
And that's how we met Corrado. So a lot of the people, like when I started streaming, a lot of them, because they knew me through gaming, like gamers don't really talk much about age or think much about age.
Yeah.
If you think about it, like as a collective. The only time that age has ever become like a question, they've been a troll anyway.
Yeah.
And like, but as far as like my community is concerned, and I think part of it too, Barry, is that I don't make a big deal out of my age.
Yeah.
I never have. Like if somebody comes to the stream, like, if you don't mind me asking, how old are you? And I'm like, oh, really? And then my grandson, who we call Mini Damage, who's 4 years old now, every once in a while he just comes in because he wants to see Pappy play the marbles, you know, and he has his favorite marbles that he picks and all that. So he'll come in, and it's kind of funny because I'm so tall and he's so short. He'll come in and he'll jump up on my lap, and all you see is this. Like, that's all you see of him. Sometimes all you can see is like his forehead, but you know, it's nothing is, I feel like as streamers, the one thing that we forget is that it is our channel, and ultimately we are in control. Like we love our communities. We're there for our communities. Absolutely. But ultimately we're in control. So unless we make a big deal out of it, they're not really going to make a big deal out of it either. And everybody kind of comes around to that idea. But yeah, I'm very, you know, and I feel like I'm also very in that regard too. Like age just doesn't become an issue. Like if I was letting my beard grow out, of course it would be white. If my hair grew out, it would be gray. Which that's never going to happen. And I think that's part of what kind of keeps the youthful appearance a bit too, is I keep a lot of the reason now, especially with the use of the snap lenses and all that. You know, there's never going to be a day where I do grow a beard, or I do like let my hair grow back in or anything like that, because having my face like this allows me to do the snap lenses, allows me to do those characters more easily.
Can you give us something? Give us some examples. Like, what do you have? What do you have for us?
The
number one is Martha. Okay, everybody loves Martha. Martha actually came about when we were playing House Flipper, and Martha is a recently divorced real estate agent, you know, and she just, you know, she's become like a permanent embedded part of the channel. It's just been so much fun. And with the Go XLR, luckily all I have to do now is just kind of change my voice inflection. Like I don't have to actually, you know, change my voice. The one that I don't have a snap mask for yet, that gets asked for an awful lot, is Uncle Gus.
Oh,
Uncle Gus is kind of like a man's man, you know. He's kind of like a car guy. You know, like come on over here, and you know, because we play marbles all the time. So I'm always inviting people to come on over and play with our balls, you know. So come on over and play with our balls, and you know, just kind of do that thing, you know. And then let me see if I've still got him handy here. I do have him handy. You know, of course there's the chicken nugget. You know, the chicken nugget started out as just an expression of appreciation, and these things, you know, Gunther's tra la la all the time. You know, it's really he's kind of, you want to be truthful about it, he's kind of a You know, he's all right. He's all right. He's not a bad guy. You know, but there's so much that I've been able to. That's you know, that's the example of some of the characters we do, and I keep expanding the lineup. Yeah. Like I'm still, you know, I still want a voice for this.
Yeah, the unit. I still want a voice for this. So for those of you who are only listening, I have to put this in now. Like, Standard Damage is like showing off Snapchat filters, overlays, interacting. Like it just, you know, like putting on a wig and a makeup with a filter, like a Snapchat filter, live on his camera. So that's and he's doing these different voices with different characters that he has. So and it's pretty darn amazing. It really like adds a dimension, a new dimension, and you can play around with it, and you can be different people for different occasions, for different reasons. So what do you feel is the biggest benefit you get from using these? Like, why are you using them? Is it just because it's fun, or does it have more deeper value, do you think?
There's the we'll talk about the in your face part of it first. And the in your face part of it is it's variety. It's entertainment. It's when I look at my analytics, and it's been kind of again, when I talk about how fortunate I feel, this is one of the reasons I do. The average person spends 4.5 hours with me.
Yeah.
Since I switched the schedule around to 8-hour streams, now the average person spends 5.5.
Wow.
That's a long time to spend and stream with somebody and hang out with somebody. No matter how nice they are, no matter how sweet they are, no matter how much you love the community and how much you're getting out of it, it is still a very long time to hang out with somebody, even if you're just listening. Okay, right. You know, listening to the audio, or whether you're actually watching. So, and let's be honest, streaming, part of streaming is a business arrangement as well. I have a lot of subscribers, and I feel like if they're going to subscribe, just like any other service, they deserve some level of entertainment. And that's where a lot of that comes from. On a much, much deeper level, and this is something I haven't discussed with my community before, it came from this idea that there are times I needed to hide without really hiding. There's times when I need, I listened to an interview with Robin Williams one time, and I really like the way he put this. He says, there's sometimes I need to hide from myself. I need to spend a little less time with myself. I need to take myself out of the equation for, even if it's 15 seconds or 30 seconds, and be something else or do something else. And that's where a lot of that comes from. I grew up watching a lot of British humor. So I watched like Monty Python, which is a dear favorite of mine. Benny Hill was a dear favorite of mine. All this British sketch comedy. More recently, like Little Britain. And I love the characters. I love the idea of being me and being here for my community. And that when I'm in this form here, I can be the sweetheart. I can be the general comedian. But there are times where I want to be more than that, or there are times that I want to be different from that. And that's where a lot of that, that's where a lot of that comes from, especially Martha. I don't know what my particular attraction is to playing this 45-year-old spinster on stream. And I enjoy her character so much that I have to remind myself that I need to pull myself back out, because it can, like any character, can be overdone, especially when you're doing a longer stream, things like that. So we try to bounce around a little bit, and we have fun, and it allows me to, instead of just being myself, it's almost like I have a small team of mini-me's around to kind of add. So it's like having a little mini comedy troupe almost. It is my hope that someday I'm going to have the project big enough that I have other streamers working with me, and we can rotate it out almost like a TV network, and we each have different shows we do, and we each have different styles. Long term, and we can get into more of this later, but long term, I'm hoping that the project never ends. We were talking about age earlier. At some point, everybody has to accept that they're not going to have the capacity to do the things they love to do anymore, and they're going to have to go do something else. And I'm really hoping that I get to a point where I can somebody with the same attitude as myself, where I can actually take this and hand this off to them, and
mini damage,
and they're gonna
rise
carry
up,
the torch.
mini damage.
yeah, exactly. Okay. Hopefully you will see what happens with my grandson as he gets. I know, my kids are amazing and they're very creative, but they're not. This isn't going to be their thing. I don't.
No. But other streamers, you're looking for streamers that want to join the cause. You want to look for streamers that shares the values and want to be part of it and add their own, contribute with their own like version of it, but can kind of like gather under this umbrella. And you call it a project. Is it the StandardDamage project? Is what you call it?
Yeah.
What is this? What is it? What is this project? What are you trying to do here?
It's been so many things. It's been so many things. No, it was the reason I separate myself from the project. Like people call me StandardDamage, they call me Stan or Damage and all that, and I'll still answer to that. But the reason, like when I'm actually streaming, I say, "Hi, I'm Jamie from the StandardDamage project."
Right. Okay.
Is because I want that separation to be there. Like the project is its own thing. Like I named StandardDamage because the very first time I heard it, and I heard it in a video game that came out like 99, 2000. It's called Obsidian. Sega Soft released it. Not a very well-known game at all. Thomas Dolby did the soundtrack to it. But as soon as I heard the term StandardDamage, I spit my coffee laughing, because it's the term to me, like, and now it's a common term like in MMOs and all that, come to find out, but at the time it's like is there really a standard level of damage? There really isn't. And it was just struck me like as this massive oxymoron. Yeah. And the other thing was, honestly, Barry, nobody was using it at the time.
Yeah.
Nobody was using it for anything. So I could be StandardDamage everywhere. I didn't have to be XX StandardDamage XX.
Yeah.
I didn't have to throw like 15 underscores into it. I didn't have to do any of that stuff. I was just me. But what happened was it eventually started becoming projects along the way. It originally, like back when I was first married, it was music. I was actually producing trance and EDM under that, and it honestly, it was more experimental. I'm being just completely honest here, it wasn't very good. I was getting better, but as I was getting better was also around the time my son was born, and that took precedence over my creative projects at that stage for absolutely. Fast forward several years later, I tried it as a YouTube channel, and now if you go to my YouTube channel, it's all archived at this point. All of the, like, that's where Uncle Gus comes from. The Jamie voice that I used to do it became the Nugget. Martha is new. She's new to when I got onto Twitch. There was Lawrence, it was me, but it was like very, very soft spoken. He was a very timid kind of character. So that it became that. And YouTube also failed, but YouTube failed. I don't feel like YouTube really failed necessarily because of the content. YouTube failed because I didn't know how to market myself. I didn't know how to get discovered at all. Something I have a much deeper understanding now is of discovery. And we'll get into that in a minute too, because you had mentioned you wanted to know like how you grow.
Right.
But I didn't understand discovery at that point, and I was trying to, at the time I was working full time. I had a good job, and I was dumping extra money into Google ad revenue to try and get the videos discovered.
Yeah.
But when I backed away from dumping money into discovery on YouTube, my view numbers immediately just dropped right back down.
Right.
At that point. So I have maybe one fan left from the YouTube days that has followed me over to Twitch. He actually stopped in stream a few weeks ago. It was a blast. I had a chance to chat with him for a few minutes. It had been forever since I had talked to him. He was asking me, is Gus still around? He was asking me about all the characters and all that. And but it was that was a failed experiment just because I didn't understand the concept of discovery, and most content creators don't. That's probably our weakest point. Like we're artists, so we want to go do art, but we don't understand like how to get people to discover that art, Right. And then through working with Extra Life, which is a children's charity that I work with.
Right.
I was in where I used to live in Buffalo, New York. I was the very first year we had what they call a guild, which is basically a gathering of those that work in the charity that we organize events, things like that. But I got to be president the first year. and I met a streamer who is now, at the time he wasn't, but is now a partner, Shamanam. Great guy. I love him dearly. He's reached all kinds of success with his streaming, and he's picked up another job now, I believe, because of it. And he's actually moving all the way across the country now. But he worked on me for 1.5 years, Barry.
Wow.
To get over to Twitch. He's like, you've got the Twitch account. You've already got your name. You just try it. He was begging me, Barry. He's like, you know, and then it got to the point where he just started getting like absolutely pissy about it. He's like, all right, look, will you just get over here? Oops, I'm sorry, wrong voice.
Will you please just get over here? Will you please just stream just once? Just once. That's all I'm asking. I will never bother you again if you stream once. And
what I ended up doing was I was originally going to do this whole black and white thing, right? So I found a picture from a 1950s drive-in, skewed my camera so that I looked like I was up on the movie screen,
right,
with all these cars underneath. That was my big chat screen at the time. And I'm like, I'll give it a shot. Within a week, I was completely hooked.
Yeah.
You know, my only regret looking back was that I didn't start doing Twitch sooner, even when I only had 2-3 people in my chat. All right. It didn't really matter. I just loved it. I loved the live interaction. I loved being in front of the camera. You know, it's funny. I go back and watch the VODs and I realize what a noob I was back then, but still you know, just kind of watching how everything was handled, and you know, again, that live interaction, like the fact that like right now I'm looking at the camera because, you know, like I promised you, we'll keep it conversational, but I so hard I want to like look over at the chat and like start interacting with it, because that was a lot of what I fed on, and it completely fascinated me, because I'm an introvert by nature. I'm not an extrovert. Like I love people, but I can only take so much before I need to go take a nap.
Right.
All right. And for some reason, streaming energized me.
Right.
Like the more I stream, the more time I spend in front of the camera, the better and better and better things got. And it was just this incredible experience. Wow. And it's just grown and grown and grown and grown from there. So
you grew a lot as a person from putting yourself in a situation where you were very social and very interactive with people, even though you know you are an introvert. And still, like, there's something about streaming where you are together with people, but you are also alone in your room at the same time, which yes. I guess, like, there's something that, you know, you can, even if you feel anxiety or like with social anxiety, like there's some safety and comfort knowing that physically, you know, no one can get to me, or like there's a distance. I'm like, I have my safe zone and I can choose how much I want to, you know, share of myself. Mm-hmm. Streaming is the next level. You're in front of a camera, but you can still choose how much you want to share of yourself and what you want to share of yourself and how you want to interact with people. So you found something like, do you like, or have you had social anxieties before? Or you didn't mention social anxieties, but you said you were an introvert. But mm-hmm. did you ever have like social anxieties or stuff like that too?
Oh, I suffer from terrible social anxiety. You'd never know it now. The reason I don't suffer from social anxiety anymore is because of my wife, and my community that's in chat with us right now have heard me talk about this before. My wife, I am the incredible introvert, and I never really knew I suffered from social anxiety until counseling like years after college, and they, you know, I found out that, you know, after the fact that he's like, yeah, you really suffer from pretty bad social anxiety. You'd actually be diagnosed with that. But what happened was, the woman I fell in love with was my direct opposite.
Right.
She's incredibly extroverted, incredibly gregarious, can talk to anybody pretty much under any circumstances.
Yeah.
And so what ended up happening was, along the line, I couldn't be, I guess what I want to say is I couldn't be in love with, be married to her and be a homebody. It just wasn't going to work. It just wasn't going to work. She kicked my butt on the daily to get up off the couch, put the controller down and get out, And what happened over time, through that constant, and it was very loving conditioning, by the way, Barry. I don't want to make it sound like she was an ogre about it. She wasn't. There were a couple of times that I got the stern eye. I got that.
It's tough love.
You're going out. We're going out right now,
Yeah.
But it's through that constant conditioning, I started getting more used to people. I started getting more used to being out. And by the time I got into my later 30s, especially, and I became a store manager. And then I ended up, like I said, like the really huge shift was running a business. Like there was no way I could do all these business meetings. There was no way I could be out shaking hands, getting to know people, trying to kind of sell what we did, all that good stuff without really learning to adapt and without being willing to allow what was going on internally to change. I still have my moments. I still have my moments where I pull back, but I think it's more on a normal level now than it used to be. I mean, it used to be like I was this moody little gothic punk, and I really was a moody little gothic punk. And I was so pale, everybody's like, what makeup do you use? I'm like, I use makeup. I don't go out into sunlight. Now I go out and seek sunlight, but at the time, and again, I look back on this stuff now and I go, Barry, I'm like, oh my God, how was I ever that person? How was I ever that person? But again, it's like people ask me if it's possible for a person to change. And I say, oh yeah. Oh, absolutely. If the person is willing to be a student, if they're willing to look at what they're doing and go, I don't want to be this anymore. I don't want to be this moody little so-and-so anymore. I want to be something bigger. I want to be more loving. I want to be with people. I want to help people. But in order to do that, it's got to start in here.
Right.
So as you grow and you make that change, it just completely changes who you are and it completely changes your whole outlook.
It's really cool. But yeah, and you have to take that, you have to dream about it for yourself and take on the challenge for yourself to be that bigger person that you want to be. No one can take that journey, and it's scary for everyone. It is scary for every single person to grow yourself, change who you are. Everyone is stepping out of the comfort zone when they're doing that. So, and it's really inspiring to listen to. And one other thing, one thing I want to talk to you about is how do you grow a Marbles on Stream community? What happened there, Jamie? So can you take us through a couple of steps along the way, milestones, where it started?
Oh yeah.
Why it started? Yeah, go, Jamie. I know
here's. Oh my God. Well, here's what happened. Okay, for me, it was really sink or swim. At the time when I first started streaming. Okay, when I first started streaming seriously, I was managing for a retail chain, and I'm not going to name drop here, of course, but a very miserable one. All right, and the job itself was just horrible. And what happened was, long story short, in the same day, both my wife and myself lost our jobs.
Oof.
So we went from both of us being, and we made decent salaries. We both were retail managers. Jobs were tough, but the money was good, kind of thing. And then all of a sudden we were jobless. And it was like, holy shit. I couldn't, I my brain just froze. And what happened was I immediately, I went right back to work, and I immediately, I immediately started getting resumes out and all this stuff. And timing is everything. And I couldn't, unfortunately my timing was bad in that regard. I just could not, I was able to get a couple of interviews, but just wasn't able to get things to go all the way. And a lot of what I was actually running into was being overqualified.
Wow.
Because I had run a company, a lot of DMs, and I was also a district manager. A lot of DMs were not willing to let me step back into the store manager role.
Wow.
Because they felt like I wouldn't be happy.
Oh.
And by the way, Barry, they were 120% correct.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it was, I can't fault them for that because they were absolutely right. I needed at that point to be doing my own thing. So while I was in the middle of, because there's only so many applications you can do in a day, job applications happen on, or job interviews happen on somebody else's schedule. So what I did was I decided I was just going to start streaming full time. Thorax, who's in chat with us right now, the first time he hopped into one of my streams, I actually wasn't playing marbles. I was playing Wreckfest. Okay. Reed, who's another one of my regular ones, came in when I was playing Mario Kart. Like these are pre-marbles community members that we have with us. And so I was messing around with that. And there was one streamer in particular that I'd gotten to be really good friends with. She was a really big sweetheart. It's Fishy Woot. And she was playing a game called Marbles. And I'm like, this looks cool. I'll go check this out. So I went into her stream and I ran Marbles down the track and I spent 3 hours saying the same thing to myself. Just one more game. Just one more game.
Yeah.
All right. Just one more. I'm going to do just one more. Just one more. Okay. It's 3 a.m. I'm going to doing that, Barry. All night long. And I said to myself, if I feel this way, I bet others might feel the same way. And there's no greater game or no better way to stream, whether you do like podcasts, whether you're streaming live shows or chats or whatever you want to do. There's nothing greater you can do than doing what you love. And I just fell in love with Marbles.
Right.
So I started streaming it the next day, and all of a sudden I had people in my chat that I had never seen before, just because I was streaming the game. At the time, and this is a little different now, but at the time, just running the game increased your discoverability. Even though I didn't still understand discoverability at that point, this is a little over a year ago now. Just by playing the game, people were coming in to check me out. And I was at least smart enough at that point. I've learned a lot of lessons since then, but I was at least smart enough at that point to know that I needed to take advantage of all these new people that were coming into my channel and really talk with them and really get to know them. And what I decided to do at that point, which was the best thing I could have done, was when I just started being myself. I felt less stressed in front of the camera. I didn't feel like I had to, I wanted to perform, but I didn't feel it forced to perform, if you know what I mean by that.
Right.
And everything just started kind of coming naturally. The other thing was that really has worked well with me was the demographic that was coming into the channel age-wise was super wide. I had people that were 15 and I had people that were 75 coming in there, and of course the entire gamut in between. So where I sat, suddenly I realized I had a small advantage here, because where I was right in the middle of all of them.
Yeah. So
I could identify with the 15-year-olds and I could identify with the 75-year-olds, and there were a lot of people that were 20s, 30s, and 40s are where the bulk of our community sits. And we could be adults, but we could be immature adults.
Yeah.
And even those that are in their teens that were appreciating that. And what gets me is a lot of our viewers that are in their like 50s, 60s, and 70s seem to appreciate watching a bunch of adults behaving badly, which is what we do. One of the reasons I chose the color purple, reason purple is one of the colors I use for the channel now. Purple represents two things: imagination and immaturity.
Nice.
Usually on a negative side, but in our case, immaturity is one of our strengths. Doing all the voices, doing all the screwing around and the goofing around, all of the innuendos, things like that. That's all a part of that. And I think it's just a beautiful, beautiful thing that we have, that we've been able to really bring to our advantage. But what happens is, getting back to your question,
right,
growth,
because the question was like, how do you build a community around marbles? And like I think you nailed it when you said, I fell in love with marbles, and you think the best thing you can do for yourself and people around you is doing what you love. Like that's how you benefit the most yourself, and that's how you actually help others, people the most. I believe that too. Like if you can do what you love, you are actually not being, you know, selfish. You're being very helpful to yourself and to people around you. So what happened after that, after you fell in love and now you knew you had to take advantage of the situation? People were coming in to watch marbles, check you out. How did you grow a community from that point?
Falling into a lot of potholes along the way. It's like at first I was like, we were running it. And I got to the point where I started making some bad decisions. I think there were lessons that I had to learn.
Right.
And I just actually did a video on this on Twitter just before we went live about listening to people that don't know what they're talking about. And we do that as newer streamers. We do that an awful lot. Because there are a lot of people that want to come along, and I promise it's going to come to a point. So bear with me a second. But we listen to people with good intentions,
right? And
we listen to them because we love them and we respect them. But that doesn't change the fact that what they're saying to us is wrong. I had people telling me that marbles was going to get stale. Well, that was wrong. I had people telling me that I should run other games, which I did do that for a little while. That was wrong too. I should have stayed focused pretty much all the way through. So I had people telling me that I should change my schedule. When I changed my schedule, I also changed the fact that I was running marbles all the time. That was a mistake.
Right.
So there were all these pitfalls. So I swelled up to, you know, just talking in terms of raw numbers, just because I want to give you the mental picture here. I went from streaming to an average of about 6 to 8 people, to streaming to an average of 55 within a month.
Yeah.
That's a lot of success in a very short period of time. And I'm no different than anybody else. Like most streamers, when they hit that, they don't know what to do next.
Yeah.
They have no clue. I had no clue because I didn't get that slow, gradual growth so I could learn the lessons in small chunks. I had to learn them in big chunks. I had to dump the gasoline on and set it on fire to realize what had and all turn it to the ground before it was actually happening. So what happened was we swelled. I started working around with some other games, and then we shrunk back down again. We were having averages in like the low 30s to the 40s, and I stayed in that plateau for a while, Barry. And it wasn't until it took a period of extreme stress. We were forced to move. Our lease wasn't renewed.
Wow.
We were forced to move out. And I finally got to the point, Barry, where I said to myself, you know what? I am just absolutely done around with this thing. We're pushing it. We're gonna actually do it. So what it boiled down to, Barry, to come to the ultimate answer to the question, is it boiled down to consistency, throwing myself headlong into the community that had been trying to throw me support for months. And I was keeping it at arm's length for some reason. And I still don't know why I did that.
Yeah.
But it was like, no, I shouldn't be. And it wasn't that I didn't want to just be a marble streamer. It's that I thought I shouldn't be. And I was wrong. And what I started doing was I started looking to people that knew more than I did. I started looking at people who had the level of success that I wanted to have.
Yeah.
And were willing to teach.
Right.
And so what I did was I started looking that direction. And when I buckled down and when I focused, and I didn't ask anybody's permission, by the way. I didn't ask my wife's permission. I didn't ask the community's permission. I didn't ask, I don't know, my brother's permission, whoever you want to throw in there.
Yes.
I just focused in and started doing it. And that's when the growth really started to happen. So, you know, to come back around to your question, like the ultimate answer, you need to be consistent in all things, in everything. You need to consistently post across your social media. You need to run a consistent schedule. Your audience needs to know what to expect when they come here. Throwing in new things is good. Throwing in fresh ideas is good. But if you completely try to rework what you're doing, you're going to start all over again. You're going right back to square one.
Yeah.
And that doesn't work. So you need to be consistent there as well. Changes to scheduling should be very infrequent and should only be as a direct response to what's going on in the culture at the time. Like my recent change in schedule came for 2 reasons. One was streaming every day. I didn't have time to start working on the other, speaking of social media, working on the other necessary things. Better social media presence, better YouTube presence both need to happen for me. And I needed that time to do it. But the other thing was when school went back in, everything switched around. So now that school is back in for a lot of people too, switching around so that more of the community can get there to me on like Sunday nights and weeknights has completely changed things around for everybody. A lot of very old, familiar, loving faces that I had been missing terribly are now back around again. And it was simply, they wanted to be there, they just couldn't be because I wasn't streaming at those times. So those 8-hour streams that pretty much run right up the middle, which like for me are like afternoon into the nighttime. So for me it's actually from like 12 noon to 8 on Eastern side. It's from 2 p.m. to 10 p.m., which is perfect. That gives a chance for everybody to get in and see me. But a consistency in all things is a really, really, really big thing. As you were alluding to earlier, talking about earlier, loving what you do is so critical.
Right.
Because loving what you do, you're those pitfalls like I was talking about earlier, you're gonna step in so many of those. And no matter how good your teachers are or how good of a student you are with all of this, Twitch just doesn't come with an instruction manual.
No.
So if you love what you're doing, it's going to get you through and carry you through all of that. It's no matter what it is. It's no big secret that we just had our first partnership denial. We have another application in for partnership now. We got back into our window. They actually asked me to reapply, so I did reapply.
Cool.
Cool. Which is great. Yeah. Hopefully this time, I mean, you never know. You never know. They might look at what's happened over the last 3 or 4 weeks and decide that I'm still not ripe enough yet.
Yeah.
But at least it's there. At least it's out there. But all these disappointments you're going to have, and you got to remember, you're going to have disappointments. A lot of them.
Yeah.
And if you love what you do, and loving what you do is that you're going to love the community that surrounds it, which I very, very much do. Not just my community, but the marbles community as a whole. That's going to get you through almost anything that comes up, almost anything in your way. So
this is really inspiring. This is really inspiring to listen to. You said that you felt like you shouldn't be a marbles streamer. What else? Other things did you try? What did you try that wasn't marbles that you thought was a good idea that turned out not to be a good idea after all?
Well, you know what it was? We tried other community interactive games. Like we did and I'm not saying the Minecraft have our server, but streaming Minecraft wasn't a good idea. The Minecraft server for the community was a fantastic idea. The community has a lot of fun in there. I'm able to, even as busy as I am, I still manage to carve out time to jump in there once in a while. I'll usually do like some infrastructure builds, things like that. But streaming it was not. Streaming it was not. We tried Clone Drone, and not that these aren't games, by the way. They are. But it wasn't, it was too big of a switch. And some of it would have a negative effect. Playing Clone Drone, and we laugh about it now, but Clone Drone made me salty. Like it made me the anti-Jamie, It's like I would actually play Clone Drone and I could feel my blood pressure rise. I would get hot because the community can spawn enemies in all the time, and there would be certain people that would come into chat and they would always spawn like the most deadly enemy they possibly could every single round to try and trip you up. So we tried that one. Tower Unite has a fantastic community. That's another one we play. Tower Unite is like a collection of mini games combined with like a Second Life aspect where you have you can have your own condos, you can build your own, do your own skins, have your own living space, which is another game we still play as a community, but we don't stream it.
All right.
Because and what happens is there's a difference between, and this is the line I've learned to draw, Barry, is that there's a difference between what your community loves to do outside of your main game and what you should do on camera.
Right.
And one of the other great joys that I've found through this is that every once in a while I'll jump into our Discord and say, hey, everybody, I'm going to be in the Minecraft server. I'm going to be playing Tower Unite. I'm going to be playing Garden Pause, which is another new I've been enjoying. We're going to be doing this, or this. I'm doing it off camera because then I can just hang out in Discord, chat with the community, not worry about the stress of the stream. And we can just enjoy each other's company. And it actually, instead of taking away from the channel, now I'm adding more value to it.
Wow.
On both on both a viewership level as well as the very, very, very critical personal level, because people are more open to talk about things in Discord over voice than they are in a public chat. So if there's something that's been on their mind, if there's something that's bothering them, if there's something that maybe I can help them with, or if they just simply need an ear or a shoulder, they're more likely to be open there than they are a lot of times in Twitch chat, as I found. So it really adds that extra dimension, because it keeps things pure.
And I feel like that it's something that I feel some streamers, you think that you need to spend the most time just streaming and be live, but if you are in front of the camera and if you are like streaming all the time and you don't stream what is actually, you know, what you actually enjoy the most and what your community enjoys the most, you just want to be live on air to cover as much like hours as possible in a week to be discovered more. But if your community isn't, if the community isn't thriving, if you're not thriving as a person, like, then just spending more hours on streaming might not be the best thing for you to grow your community or your stream. So what I hear that you do is like taking time when you're not streaming to add value, add personal, like intentional, attention and time and love, pour that into your community in like other ways than just, you know, be in front of the camera. And when you're not live in front of the camera on your stream, you can be, you know, you can get even more personal with individuals in a different way, because it is limited as well. Even though it's very interactive, being live and talking to people, there is something else, you know, sitting in a voice chat on Discord and just hanging out, movie nights, playing games together, or like just, something else. So you tried these different games and like you went down potholes, you had setbacks, like you had lessons that you needed, you felt like, you needed to learn them to make progress. And then you found your way back to marbles. So you had that moment where it was like you had that crisis in your life and you had to like go full on or nothing, like, or just, you know, forget about it.
And we never abandoned marbles. Marbles was always, you know, over this last year, marbles has always been the most played game in the channel. I just mishandled it. You know, the time that we spent streaming it. Like I would do, one of my most failed experiments was doing what I'm doing now, but doing it wrong. We went down to 4 days so that I could start to work on some other things, but then I would do 4 hours of marbles and then 4 hours of something else.
Right.
So I would take this community or the crowd that had gathered, because there's always this gathering time when you start a stream, right? You know, whether it's an hour, whether it's 2 hours before everybody's really there, everything's really jamming along, everybody's interacting. So I would take that community that we had actually built there, and then I'd switch games.
Right.
And they'd all leave. I'd have like maybe 20 to 30 people that would want to hang out. And not that these people weren't loved or weren't important. That's not true. It's just that I had taken over half of them in most cases and inadvertently shooed them away. I didn't want them to go. I wanted them to stay. I wanted them to hang out.
Yeah.
But because we weren't doing that interactive game anymore that they loved so much, of course they were going to go someplace else.
Yeah.
Of course they were. You know, the people that would stay were the people that were interested in what I was playing then.
Right.
You know, and some of them are, you know, the vast majority of those people that would stay with me when we were playing other games are still with me now, and I love them for it. I love them dearly for it. And when I went back to marbles full time, it was one of the considerations that I had to make is like, I hope I don't put this core group off
right
by completely going back to marbles. And I didn't even announce it. I did it,
yeah,
you know? And, but the reason I made the decision I did is I wanted to go back to the game that I loved, that everybody else loved too. It was something that it's literally a game without borders. You don't need quick reflexes for it. You don't need any special skills.
Yeah.
It's completely random. And it's really like we joke about it all the time. Like marbles is just chatting with an interactive game involved.
Right.
And it is a bit more than that. You know, there's a lot of things we can do now because now the community can build tracks and submit them for the streamers to race. And there's all these extra levels to it now. But at its core, at its heart, that's really what it is. And it's really like, Barry, when you think about it, it's really what any game is. It's what any successful streamer comes across, is they come across a game that fits their personality perfectly. And this one fits mine perfectly because I don't have to focus on chat. When I game, I am super focused. All right. My friends used to kid with me that they could pinch me while I was playing a game and I wouldn't even pay attention.
Right.
You know, because I was that like right in there. And even when I'm playing games like Minecraft, I was finding that it was a lot more difficult for me to interact with chat than when I played marbles. For some reason, marbles, I can put everything on automatic and still pretty much keep up with the chat.
Yeah.
I mean, my chat now, because a lot of people like to talk with me, they understand that I'm interactive. It gets super busy. And as any of my community members that are right now can attest to, there's things I still miss all the time. But I am able to pay a lot more attention to chat and give them a little more personal time, which is really what I want, because I want them to know how much I love them, how much I value the fact that they are taking so much time to be there with me and be there with the community. And that's part of how communities grow, is that it gets to the point where it's not just interaction with you, then they start interacting with each other.
Yeah,
both
that's a community.
In stream and out of stream. Yeah, and that's something that once you start reaching that level, that's a level of success that and an enjoyment that's kind of hard to put into words. Like when I actually saw them starting to make friendships on their own, talking to each other. Some of them are actually meeting up outside, like in real life kind of stuff. Holy shit, what have we just done here? Because these are people that are now, they're not just interacting with each other, they really want to spend time together.
Yeah.
And it's incredible. It's incredible, but that's what continues to help build value for the channel and build value for a community as well. And if you're smart, you have to pay attention to that, and you have to continue to nurture that. That's one of the reasons why I'm working very hard on Discord now, so that we have more gathering time even when the camera's not on, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Do you create times where people will hang out or play a game even if you're not there as well? Like, hey, it's community time. I won't be there, but this and this and that person will be there. Join them, like play, like, or do you always, are you always there for like community time events that is happening off stream?
If I call an official community game time, I'm always I never do that without my presence.
Right.
What's interesting though, to kind of that point you just made, is that they do that completely on their own.
Right.
They game together. They've made through like when we do community game time, a lot of us are now friends on Steam. Like before I started streaming, I had maybe 10, 12 friends on Steam, and now I've got, I think, like 400, something like that.
Yeah.
And it really, so we can all see when each other is gaming, we know what each other is playing. And it's like, oh, hey, I saw you're playing Vermintide. Can we, can I jump in with you? Hey, I see you're on Minecraft right now. Discord's great for that too. Hey, I see you're on Minecraft. I'm gonna jump in the server. Are you gonna be there? So they schedule their own game times. So I don't feel the need to actually schedule like official game times unless I'm gonna be there.
Right.
Because the only reason I feel like my being there makes it special is because it's I get so few opportunities to do it. So when I do get the time to be in one of those games, and I actively choose to be in the games that my community is playing, by the way, I shout out a quick Discord, I add everyone and say, hey, I'm going to be here at such and such a time. I'm going to be in voice chat 3. If you guys want to hang out, please come in. It's a perfect time to talk to me, and we can catch up for a little bit, because those are really, to me, those are some of the most golden moments I have right now, because when you say full-time streamer, you say a mouthful. I'm always working.
Yeah.
I'm always working. Even when I'm not on camera, like just 40 hours a week alone is dedicated to the stream.
Yeah.
Throw another 40 to get on top of everything else that's going on.
Because you have 2 days off, but it says off, but so that's a lie. That's not true.
Off is a very relative term. The only day that might truly be off for me, like I take, when you talk about like days on camera versus days off, the only day that might truly be a day off for me is on a Saturday, and that's if my wife wants that time. She doesn't always. Sometimes, because that's her day off too. Sometimes she's off running around with her friends. She's really great friends with my cousin. That's actually how she and I met. And she'll go running off with her or something like that. So if nobody's going to be around anyway, I'm back in here working, back in doing something to improve the channel. I'm working on some YouTube side, or putting together a short video for Twitter, or there's always, or working on the Discord. I mean, there's always a things you could be doing. Yeah. I think one of the most difficult things is keeping your thoughts organized, so that when you do sit down off camera to do something, you're not looking at the whole mountain going, I wonder which cliff I'm going to climb today. Like, you need to actually sit down and decide which cliff you're going to climb before you actually sit down. Like, today's a Discord day, or today's a social media day, or today's a YouTube day, or today's a channel improvement day, or what I try to do now is I'll actually look at my massive to-do list and try to see how many things are going to go hand in hand, and try to actually tackle those first, so that I can have my bot set, my channel set, my YouTube set, and my Twitter set all at the same time, so that the efforts kind of get coordinated, and the message gets out a little bit easier if we're doing something new or changing something. So.
Right. Creating one piece of content that can go to many places, like boom, boom, boom. You covered ground, I guess. Stuff like that. Yeah. So is it a requirement to spend 60 hours a week to gain as much success as you have?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. There's no way I can sugarcoat that. There's no way I can sugarcoat that. But there is something I can add to it. The reason because you're a one-man army. When you reach the level of success that certain streamers do, where you can actually have a team helping you out, the dimensions of everything change. But for a very, very, very long time, it is going to be you and a very loving team of volunteers coming along with you. But because they are a team of volunteers, and I can't stress this enough, all right, they are volunteers. They are going to do things for you that you just aren't going to believe. All right. If they truly love you and they truly care about you, there's going to be things they're going to do for you. And you go, oh my God, you actually spent 3 hours just doing that for me. You've got to make sure that I'm very, very, this is something I'm very careful with, is that they don't get abused. I don't want that. They're volunteering their time, and they're helping me out, and they're helping me grow. I want to make sure that they don't get abused. So you have to, whatever time they're putting in, you better be putting in double or triple. However, now, and this is what I want to add to this, all right? This is where the expression, if you love what you do, you will never work a day in your life, comes in. Okay? If you love what you're doing, it's all fun. All right? It's all fun, and it's work. Believe me, it's work, but it is fun. You've got to put that time in. Because if you're not, do you have to stream as many hours as I do? Probably not. I stream as many hours as I do because I like being, I like being there, and I like being with the community. That's not just a work thing. That is a desire thing, Yeah. But when it comes to everything else, like YouTube videos take way more work than I think people realize. even the quick little videos you post on social media, putting together something like you can try to do this short little 2-minute video, and it might take you an hour to get everything together to the point where you can post it. So there's all these little aspects, right, that come in. When we start talking about streamer mental health, which is something you and I were just starting to get into a little bit before the podcast started, here's where people start to go off the deep end. They overdo it. All right. There is such a thing as too much of a good thing. And when that starts to happen, they keep right on pushing.
Yeah.
They don't step back and go, you know what? I need to take a couple days off here. I need to turn off the computer. I need to walk away. The community will understand. And they do, by the way. All right. The community will understand. I'll be back in 2 days. Right. They don't do that. Some reason, and I'm guilty of this myself from time to time. Your brain locks in. You're so used to going 100 miles an hour forward that you think you always have to go 100 miles an hour.
Yeah.
And you don't. You don't. If you need that mental health break, then you take it. I've seen so many streamers now, bigger streamers do that. They're starting to figure it out. They'll take that break. It's like, you know what? I need to get away from all this noise. I'm taking a week off, or I've actually seen some streamers saying, I need more than a day or two, guys. I'm sorry. I'm not sure when I'll be back. Keep an eye on my social media and I'll let you know as soon as I'm back. And when they come back and have one of the best streams they've ever had. Both you can see it like in their attitude, you can see it in their eyes, you can see it in their excitement. And because of that, it shows up in the numbers as well. Their viewership is just huge because everybody's so happy to have them back because everybody had that chance to miss each other.
Yeah.
That's something that I've gotten away from very recently, as and I talked about it a little bit earlier, is streaming every day.
Yeah.
You don't have to. I streamed every day because I wanted to. I never really felt like I had to do that. I did it because I wanted to and I wanted to be there. But what I realized was that, number one, it was putting some toll up here. I was starting to feel that crispiness, that little bit of creative burnout that starts to creep in after a while.
Yeah.
But more importantly, there were a lot of things. It goes back to what we were talking about earlier too, about adding in that extra content, giving everybody that extra mile. I can't do that if I don't allow myself the time off camera to actually build those things.
Right.
But it's still like if you walk into this and say, and I've seen streamers try it time and time again, I'm doing a 40-hour work week. No, you're not. Not if you want to have the incredible level of success. My goals are well beyond, like we talk about partnership. So many people treat partnership as this end all be all.
Yeah.
And what they do is they beat the out of themselves all the way until they get it.
Yeah.
And when they get it, they have this mental and emotional collapse because they thought it was the end all be all. And they have no idea what to do next. They had no plans after partnership. The healthier perspective is you need to look at partnership as that big first step of success, but it is only one port in the ocean of the internet,
right?
Of social media, of streaming, of YouTube, of online video, of becoming an influencer. The people that are like truly huge now are the people that looked at partnership and said, wow, thank you very much. What an awesome accomplishment. Guys, we did it. This is great. And the very next day they got up and they went right back to work.
Right.
All right. And that's just it. You've got to pace yourself enough. And this is where mental health comes back in again. You have to pace yourself enough that you're going to be able to run the marathon. You don't want to just run the sprint. You want to run the marathon. And because again, a lot of this goes back to my love of my community. I love them way too much to be one of those. I don't want to get to partnership and fall apart. So by pacing myself, by doing smart things, as well as working hard and making sure that I keep it fun for myself and that I take those breathers along the way, I'm going to ensure that Standard Damage Project is going to be there for the long haul.
Nice. A good one. Very good answer to a question that is like debated over and over again. How do you get success on Twitch, and what do you need to do? And like you said, streamers or the people in general will, push themselves beyond their own limits to if they think that's what's necessary to gain success, fame, or money, or popularity, or whatever it is. And it's actually not what we want, but we think we should want it, or you should want partnership, and you should push yourself to get it, and that's how it works. You should feeling awful or pushing yourself too hard is what you should do, but it's not a good way to do it. And I think you can explain it really well. It has to be a journey that is, also enjoyable and fun to go on. Like the journey should be fun as well. Otherwise, we'll end up with a result, or you will end up in a place that you will not actually enjoy very much when you get there either, because you pushed yourself in a way that didn't take you to the right place. Yeah. So
one of the best things, and I just want to say this because it goes right hand in hand with what I'm saying right now. One of the best pieces of advice I was ever given, and I'm going to go back to the person that got me into Twitch to begin with, Sham. And Sham was the one that said it, is you better enjoy the journey of streaming, because there is no destination.
Yeah,
it is an ongoing thing, and that goes back to, again, like people get to partnership and then they don't know what to do. It's like, okay, well, now what? Well, you need to have some kind of plan. You talk about, when you talk about things like fame, if you want to know, like one of my greatest desires for this, it isn't about, it was never about fame. And it was never about money. But the one thing that I wanted, okay, and it's kind of a branch off from fame, is I wanted influence. I want to be able to, if you want to go out there and say, like, your mission is you want to go change the world, you really want to help people, like you want to, there's all these things, all this good you want to do. Yeah. Well, I'm beginning to understand, and my first taste of it was when we did Extra Life last year, and it was the first time I ever reached what was called a gold medal status. All right. And I have my community to thank for all of that. I mean, I threw in my donation as well, but the whole community got together and threw in all these donations, and we raised all this money, 99.9% of which goes directly to the kids. It goes directly to children's hospitals with Extra Life. It's a beautiful charity. I love it dearly. And, but I realized the understanding, and I understood the importance of influence. Influence was what I wanted, because I could then use that influence to help other people. I can help streamers not go through the same mental health battles that so many go through. I'll be able to help children's charities. Mental health is a really big one with me. I want to work with 911 programs, things like that. Like I want to give it a face and a voice, and there is just so much good that can be done out there. But in order for that to happen, like there's nothing that makes my heart hurt more than when a streamer gets out there and says, all right, guys, we're going to raise $5,000 today, and we're doing it for pets, or we're doing it for whatever. And then they're sitting there for the length of the entire 24-hour stream with $50 in donations, because they didn't have that influence. They didn't have that, they didn't have that same level of pull. And that also feeds into the importance of doing good things for people on the daily. You can't be a part-time good person. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. And the part of a learned skill, there are a lot of people out there, Barry, that are really, really, really good people, but they don't know how to show it. They don't know how to communicate it. One of the things that I've had to learn all over again streaming was learning how to express appreciation.
Right.
Because there are still times that my community does things for me that takes me to tears. And I know I told you that one story before we actually went live on, but they're just incredible. They're just incredible to me. And, so the fact they need to know why, not just that they're important, they need to know why they're important.
Why?
It's a very, again, these are learned skills. These are things like you talk about potholes and things to learn over time. Well, that's one of them.
Right.
You need to, you need to make sure that you express it constantly. That's why I don't just leave it to the alert that fires off when somebody does a sub renewal. It's, there's a lot of profuse thank yous and all that go with it. I mean, somebody has been supporting me. Now we're getting to the point where, when you start seeing 13, 14, 15 months popping up.
Yeah.
Some of my OGs are 17 months now. It's like, really, you've had faith in me for that long? Thank you. And it really does. Like they need to hear you say those words. I mean, maybe a time will come where time will come where so many of those are coming in that I'll have to handle it differently because I'm not even going to be able to complete a thought. You watch somebody huge like Dr. Disrespect and all that.
Yeah.
And all you hear is welcome back. And then like this little thing pops up on the screen and disappears right away.
Yeah.
When he does a sub renewal. But to be fair to Dr. Disrespect, if he was doing that with every single sub renewal that came in, he'd never be able to say 2 words. Because so many of them just keep rolling.
Yeah.
But there's always going to be there. I'm always going to be searching for new ways and fun ways to express that appreciation and make sure that my community understands how important they are, because no streamer, and you want to talk about growth a little more, bear in mind that no streamer does it alone. You come as an army. All right. Your entire community comes along for the ride with you. There's no exceptions to that.
Yeah.
There's no exceptions to that. If they aren't with you, you're not going to make it.
Yeah.
It's that simple. So
man, thank you for sharing all of this, everything, like everything from like your journey within life, your real life outside of stream, real life. I mean, everyone knows this is real life. What am I saying?
This is my real life.
This is the real life. Sharing about your private life and also your streaming journey and everything along the way. We've been going for over an hour. We're gonna like start to think about like how to wrap this up. So like I wanted to ask you, like, is there anything that you feel anything that you avoid talking about when you're streaming that you would feel more comfortable sharing on a podcast where you can actually have time to explain something or like talk about something? Do you have I'm trying to fish out something that we like talked about earlier.
Something that's never.
What's a dark secret about it? What
stream is that? Really, I would talk about them more. How would I put this?
You don't have
if somebody, no. I think it's time. Because I'm looking over at got it over here, and there are some people here that I think need to hear me say this. And a lot of people have been asking why. And it's becoming a more prevalent question, by the way. When I switched over, like we've always had a musical track that we end the stream with. And the one we end it with now, we do Blue October's Into the Ocean. We do it to Eye of the Storm 2, which is a very stylized marble track with rain. And, the water runs down the track as well as the marbles do. And it's a very, very beautiful, beautiful thing. And what I do is we always take 25 seconds of silence at the beginning of that race to shout out anybody that we've lost to mental health issues, as well as those that we know that may have survived. And what I always do personally, I always lead the charge there, and I always shout out my brother, because I lost my brother to those very issues. What I haven't done and what I haven't told the community, and I'm going to be willing to share it with them now, because I'm looking a lot of not all my favorites are there, but a lot of them are, because I think they should get a little bit more of a perspective where I come from and why I'm so big on love and why I'm so big on letting people know that I want to be there for them, and why I care so much is because I can't tell you the number of times I've typed into the chat that I'm a suicide survivor and not hit the enter key because I didn't think the time was right. And I think it's time now that I start speaking out to that more, because a lot of people look at me and look at what's gone on, and they're trying to figure out, it's becoming, like I said, it's becoming more of a prevalent question now. They're trying to piece together why I'm handling things a certain way, why all the love, why all the community, why do I think that we need to have a place to be that's safe and warm and loving and understanding. And and now it's years now. It's been years, Barry. We're talking back when I was 19. Somebody was in my chat. It was ripping my heart out because somebody was in chat. I almost said it again the other day. Somebody was in chat talking about a friend they had just lost, who had committed suicide, that was 19 years old. And I'm like, oh, don't take. I hate that year of my life, and not just because of that. There were a lot of things. I suffered from the other part of that. Part two of that was the fact that I suffered from clinical depression so badly back then. And I managed to, we could do another hour on how I, without the use of medications or anything like that. I took a different path because they did try prescribing meds for me, and it turned me into a zombie, and I knew it. And it just wasn't me. So I decided that there were other ways I was going to walk the path, and I was going to handle it. But again, I think that not just as somebody who's been affected by it through their family member, but who's also walked that path themselves. I'm lucky to even be sitting here, after all this time and being able to talk to you about all that. But you come back from being clinically dead, which is what actually happened there. I did actually die. Even my brain activity stopped. And you come back with a very different perspective very quickly. You come back with that perspective that I'm supposed to be here, that I need to be, that I should be.
Right.
And you look at this and you go, now, how do I help keep this from happening to anybody else? So it's something that I take. That's why when I say like mental health being one of the charities that I want to work with, and I want to start putting a voice to mental health for streamers as well. The mental stresses we put ourselves through, the things that sometimes are going on with us that we don't even realize. And the really extreme negative effect that it can have if we don't pay attention. Is something that again we need to talk about a lot more, that we need to start looking at a lot more carefully. And I want to make sure that my community understands that I'm not just sitting here again as somebody who is affected by it because of something that happened to somebody close to me. It's a path that I've actually walked myself. So if you want the big secret, guys, there it is. That's the one thing I was actually going to wait until after partnership for that, because I was going to do a true just chatting session and sit down with everybody and do kind of when I are doing.
Yeah.
I feel like this is an appropriate time as any to bring that up with everybody. So.
Thank you so much for sharing. Thank you really for choosing this this time to share it. And I think that people will just understand you and love you even more for it. Something like that changes your life, changes your trajectory in life. And I think a lot of people from your community, I know a lot of people, every one of them loves what you're doing, loves what you are bringing through your stream and your community, and what it is, how it is actually helping people. And I know it's affecting people in a really big positive way. So it's humbling and amazing to listen to the story and listen to you share about that particularly. It's so thank you. And I don't know what else to say. It's one of those
areas because it's not, like I said, I never treated it like a big secret, especially now. Like I'm 45, this happened when I was 19. But it's very hard to follow that up with anything. Because it is such a serious subject. But again, like, people need to understand, it's okay. It's okay to talk about it. It's okay to talk about how you walked the path and how you can, what happened afterwards. How did you come out the other side of it? Like I said, if we had 4 hours, I could keep on going, but
But you know what I like to say to my guests at the end of a podcast is like, I'll talk to you in a year and I want to know what happened. I want to know like what's happened and how your lives changed, what happened to the stream, how is the community, how is everyone. So I've had a really good time talking to you and gaining nuggets of knowledge and wisdom from you, and I hope I will get even more of that in the future and get to know you more and hang out just with your amazing community that has been here supporting all the way, and the people from my community as well. I hope you guys also get to know each other. And
it looks like I'm looking over it.
Yeah.
A lot of Barry, just please know that feeling is mutual. I really like your content. I really like the direction that you're headed and what you're trying to do. And I absolutely look forward to getting to know you better, getting to know some of your community better as well. And I'm hoping that we, future opportunities to work together. Absolutely.
Awesome. We are gonna end the podcast part. We will stick around for a few minutes here on Twitch live and talk to you and interact with you. Wow, Twitch has an interaction feature. We gotta use it.
Look at that.
It's a chat, and we're gonna talk to you guys. I will say this: like, I know that Jamie's sound, like Mike, has been cutting out sometimes, like here and there. I've understood you perfectly, like everything you've said and shared, but I know like someone mentioned it. It's just Discord, long distance calls. I don't know. So
and that's really what it is. Cause you on my streaming right now, but on my end, you too. It's just, we're dealing with long distance servers on Discord. So.
It just happened when you said that. So, but I still understand everything you said. Yeah. So thank you guys for listening, and have a great, awesome rest of your day. And we will see you right now and in the future somewhere on Twitch. Where do we find you, Jamie? And like, how do we get to know you more on different platforms and hang out with you?
I'm super easy. I'm StandardDamage everywhere. So whether you're on Twitch, whether you're on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, my two big ones right now are Twitter and Instagram are like my two favorite places to hang out. Soon it's going to be Twitter and YouTube.
Yeah.
If you're not following me on YouTube or subscribe to me over there, please do, because there's going to be it'll give you a chance to get to know what I was. And that's where a lot of my new content is going to be popping up, is on YouTube as well, when I'm not streaming. So, so pretty much if you look for StandardDamage across any social media, don't be fooled by my TikTok profile. I do have one, guys, but I'm active now. Snapchat, I'm trying to get a little bit better about, because I love goofing around with filters, but it's just simply been a time thing. I'm trying to focus more where I can do the most good, which is, Twitch, YouTube. Twitch is always primary, guys, but YouTube and
Instagram,
YouTube and Twitter.
And
Twitter,
all those platforms, man. You're doing a great job. Thank you, guys. Let's end the podcast as cheerio and see you later. Bye.